Yes, coworkers, we did it. The only thing I forgot to do is turn off this horrible light behind me. Now, I don't have Tori here or Michael Dean, so I need to hear. Can you guys hear me? Is there, can you hear the words coming out of my mouth? What's up, Brandon? That's you're damn right. Smash that like button. What's up, coworkers and colleagues? Welcome to Friends from Work. This is an Al solo show. You guys know how we do on Wednesdays. I feel like the parents are not here, so we can just talk about what I want to talk about. My first thing, and I wanted to get to this yesterday, but it gave me another day to, what's up, Marcy, to think about how I wanted to lay this out. I obviously, you guys know my daughter is at Drexel, killing it in her first semester. So proud of her. Can't talk about it too long because dad'll start to cry. Yeah. So I want to, we have a standing FaceTime call on Sundays, and I told her that I was going to send her a care package. And as those words were coming out of my mouth, I was like, I don't really know what goes in a care package. I remember my mom used to send me care packages at college, and it was a big deal to me. So I'm going to start talking about something else. But colleagues, I'm going to lean on y'all right now. In the comments, just leave whatever you guys think. Yeah, Marcy. Yeah, Drexel and PA. Drexel is one of those schools. Out there's, I've been on this planet a long time, y'all. There's a few schools that when people talk about them, they don't just go, "Oh, I went to Ohio State," or "I went to Vermont." There's certain schools that have like a cult. Like people come up to me after shows and talk. Ohio University, in which a lot of my friends went to, OU, in Athens, Ohio. Weird cult like. People love it. Drexel is another one I've mentioned on stage. My daughter goes to Drexel, and people come up to me after the show. Oh my God. I don't know what's going on there, but it's an all good thing. What other where SAR went to school, University of Florida, those Gators. Blah. I don't really have an issue with Gators. It's more Michigan. But yes, people that went to University of Florida absolutely loved it. Okay, Brandon, writing candy down. So, first of all, I just want you guys to all know ramen, good one. Would have forgotten that one. Yes. Okay. Warm fuzzy socks, good. Okay. See, this is why I pay you guys the big bucks, because what I'm gonna do is take all of what up, Sea Dog. What I'm gonna do is take all of your good ideas. Sea Dog, I've asked all the colleagues to give me items to include in my daughter's care package. Oh, popcorn, that's good. Yeah, any flat food that that by the way, have you guys seen, and I want to see if I can maybe get one of them as detergent, good. I want to see if I can get them as a sponsor. These couches and beds that come, I guess, super tightly packed, and as soon as you kind of cut the plastic that encases it, it pops open into like a gigantic couch. I kind of want one, and maybe we can get them as a sponsor. Colleen, soaps, lotions, and face masks. Look, guys, that's one I could have thought of, but here's why I don't know if I'm going to go there. Whatever, I'm not going to speak for you guys. Whatever I thought was going on in the world of facial care and soap, that was probably about 2002. Whatever's going on in there it's none of my business. I wouldn't dare try and get a soap or a lotion. This is not PF rated 13. We need sarins in there because I won't be able to exfoliate if my facial microtoxins are involved, because when you exfoliate, the cheek fat warms up. I don't know what's happening. So unless it's going to be, yeah, gift card, yes, and she can, yeah, and Sea Dog, this is for college. So that's the only thing. I'm extremely intimidated. I don't know if I ever told you guys, when we first started at DBL, we were probably 6 months in, something like that, and maybe not even that, maybe 2 weeks in, and Jeray was like, Jeray obviously are incredibly talented hair and makeup. The head of our hair and makeup, he was just touching a man's skin that had never uh done anything but wash it, lotion, maybe. So he was like, "You need to go to Sephora immediately." He had somebody waiting for me when I got there to the Sephora, and this woman grabbed me by the hand and whisked me around the store, and she was like, "You need this and this," and I was like, "Am I getting ripped off?" And I wasn't. It once you start taking care of your face, you're like, "Oh, that's what that's supposed to feel like. That's what I'm supposed to look like." Okay, cool. So yes, shout out to all the facial enthusiasts and all those kind of, but that is not my thing. Oh, hot chocolate, Julia. Yeah. You know what's interesting, Julia? Because if my mom had sent me hot chocolate, especially when I was at Brown, when I was in full rage party mode, I would have taken that hot chocolate and thrown it at one of my friends in a drunken stupor. These kids are different. These kids cross stitch, and these kids chill out and talk about their feelings with their friends. They still do kid stuff and who's cute and I don't like this professor, I'm sure. But I think because like when I talk to my daughter, she's just like, yeah, me and my friend are gonna go to brunch and then I'm gonna take her to the airport and then I have a study group. And I'm like, I would have I know she's telling the truth, and I'm like, I wouldn't have even been able to come up with that lie. I just wouldn't have answered the phone for my mom, and I would just, oh yeah, I missed your call. I was in chemistry civics lab yesterday, and I have a hangover now. So yeah, I think some hot chocolate would be good because I think this generation is the chill out generation. It seems like every generation is almost like an exact opposite of the one before it, or their parents' generation. Because if you think about like the hippies in the late 60s that raised a lot of free range kids, those kids became adults and became like Reagan Republicans. You look at the wild out cocaine infused 80s, early 80s, and in the late 90s, those kids then ran into the HIV crisis, and there was a lot of melancholy in the country, and that generation was a lot more chill. That led to like the Kurt Cobain generation, and I guess not knowing, I was part of the hey, let's keep kicking it. Why are you not ordering more shots generation? And now my daughter is just like a chill human. My son is a thoughtful, loving, quiet human, and all of my friends' kids are like that. And I remember I said one time on stage, I was like, I was talking about my kids, and I was like, "Is there any other parents that like you feel weird because you haven't had to yell at them or ground them?" And this couple came up to me, they were like, "Oh my god, we were talking about this in the car." This generation, I just don't know if I don't know if they don't feel the need or whatever, but they don't like wow out like we used to, like at least I used to, and me and my friends. So it's very good. Yes, okay. Make sure I send absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And Brandon, I will throw some edibles in there. Pedialyte electrolyte powder. C Dog, I was thinking about this. I was in CVS the other day, and I do get Pedialyte. Remember my story about when I got Pedialyte from Walmart and I had to have my retina scanned and they had to call my mom for references. But I was getting electrolytes because not only do I take Adderall, but we're here in Denver and you have to hydrate anyway. So just to be extra safe, make sure I'm hydrated like a huge nerd, I'll get electrolyte powder. And I noticed that Pedialyte had to come out with they have now adult Pedialyte, which is almost counterintuitive because PD means pediatric, which means for children. But so many drunks, and I was one of them, are at Walgreens and CVS on Sunday mornings buying up all the damn electrolytes, that there's a bunch of babies with 103 temperatures, and the parents are like, "Yeah, we can't get any." Apparently, there's a huge rager at LSU last night. So yeah, they had to come out with adult Pedialyte for us adults that still like to imbibe. Yeah, Sea Dog, it wasn't even that it was behind bars, it was behind glass. And then when they moved the glass, a dude stood in between me and the Pedialyte and was like, "What flavor do you want?" And it took me a second. I was like, "Is this dude physically blocking me from the Pedialyte?" And then he took it and put it in another case. I'm not going to go down that road again, but that's what's going on. Let me see. All right, Marcia, that's enough of that. Let's see what you're talking about. Has anyone else? Let me pop this up on the screen here. Okay, has anybody seen an ad for helping Israelis by donating $45 to an organization. Oh, and Lou Holtz died. When was this? We'll get back to the Israeli. Oh, wow. Lou Holtz, former head coach of Notre Dame, has passed away. I'm sure there will be quite the pomp and circumstance when the college football season starts next year. He was, I will say this, he is definitely to a certain generation synonymous with Notre Dame football, who has seen a rise back in prominence, but they were down in the depths after he left. Old school coach, tough nosed, said some very controversial things. I'm not here to talk about that when somebody's passed away. Lou Holtz, what a great life, what a great career, Hall of Fame coach. And I'm sure that Notre Dame Nation is hurting right now. So shout out to Lou Holtz for an incredible career and all the innovations. You always think about somebody like Lou Holtz, but you never think about the generations of coaches and innovations that came up under and behind him. So shout out to Lou Holtz and all the best to his family as he transitions into whatever this next form that we are going to take is. Now, let me get back to this before we get to the stories that we had today, because Marcy brought this up. Has anybody else seen an ad for helping the Israelis by donating $45? First of all, what a random number. And I haven't seen this, Marcy. So if you can get the name of the organization, pop that in the comments. But yeah, I have not seen that, but it just seems, and very quickly back to the Lou Holtz thing. Alara says he was not a good coach for the Jets. Yeah, it was not. A lot of times great college coaches are not great pro coaches because you going from teaching. It'd be like almost no shade to college kids, but it's almost like going from teaching middle school kids to graduate students. Those are grown folks, some people in the 30s and 40s, and there's a level of coaching and a way that you need to come at teenagers, some of them 17, 18, as opposed to grown men that are worth $45 million. So it is very difficult to make that transition. Marcy says it's a Christian organization. You know what, Marcy? I just need a little bit more info. And let's pull back from even your example. First of all, $45 is a lot. Why do you guys get the feeling that everything that you touch, talk, and interact with is a scam on some level? I talked about the cars for kids. That's turned out to be a scam, of course. I make a lot of jokes in my act about the Girl Scouts, but aren't they really just a company that uses unpaid labor? They just sell cookies. They don't really do anything else. It's fine to sell cookies. We are capitalists here, but you should pay your employees. Maybe put some money aside, maybe in a war bond or something. I don't, what year is this, Al? We've been watching Boardwalk Empire, so we're talking about war bonds. You hear? But yeah, just I don't know. I just think a lot of things are a little scammy. And even like when I go to the grocery store here in Denver, I go to Safeway, and after you swipe your card, I should start just taking pictures of all the things they want you. One was like, do you want to donate to sick kids in Denver? I was like, that's very vague. Some are just like, do you want to end hunger? I'm like, that's extremely vague. And so they're everywhere. And it sucks because I think I can at least speak for all the folks on this channel right now. We all are good people that I don't mind donating, especially when I have the money, but I just always feel like it's like, ugh. Like I just feel like even when I'm at a charity fundraiser and it's a high-end event, people are drinking high-end champagne and such. I'm like, shouldn't this money go to the kids? And how come we do this every year? Shouldn't they be getting better? Same with schools and like the state lottery. They're like the money from the lottery goes to the school. Why are they still sucking? Why do they still need money? Why do I still send my nephew some money every year to make sure that his classroom is up to par for a new school year? Because we've taken our teachers' classroom credit away. That's something we did. Somebody woke up, a congressperson was like, of all the problems in the U.S., do you know what the problem is? These damn teachers thinking they run the world with their $200 teacher tax credit. So the good news is, Gabriel, you are back. You are back, and I wanted to pop something up really quickly because obviously Sar sent me this, and Julia, I hope you don't mind me sharing this. Where is it here? Okay, so okay. Julia said, I just wanted to tell you that I'm looking forward to today's show. Hope I haven't disappointed so far. I know we gave you a hard time yesterday, but that's only because we love you. Keep going. Keep up the good work. Love, Julia. First of all, Julia, stop trying to make a black man cry because it will probably be easier than you think. Second of all, Julia, it's so interesting that yesterday when I got off of the show, we we talked a little bit after the show and everybody kind of went their different ways. And I just kept thinking to myself, was yesterday my favorite show we've ever done? Yesterday, as corny as it sounds, y'all, was what I've always wanted and hoped for with this show is that we have enough reps under our belt. We all know each other well enough where we can kind of bust balls and joke around. Only my good friends joke around with me like that. I the last time Tori came over and Sar is popping this stuff up. I forgot she's in here. She's always around, even when she's at work. Thank you, baby. But yeah, one time, Sar, I forgot what. Maybe no, we were doing an exercise about like something about trying to fix our inner child or something with our friend Audrey, and Tori came over and I was looking for paper, and Tori found a box that I had, and I had labeled it paper on it, like I had a label on it. And she made so much fun of me. She was like, "That's so embarrassing. You're such a nerd." And I still laugh about it. I only think we're cool when we can really joke with each other because you guys see how we are. If I don't feel like we're at the level we can joke, not a bad thing. It just means that we're not family and friends yet. So only my good close friends get it, and boy, can I take it as well. So Julia, well noted, and you guys actually helped me laugh off with some of the donations and everything. That really did help because Gabriel, I felt so bad. I was trying to like stay on task, and I was like, I love him. I felt so bad, dude. See, dog, we did a story way back when we had just turned into daytime talk after dark before we became friends from work, and we did an article, and I would love to go back, and it was a scientific study that said that friends roast each other and make fun of each other. It's a level of comfort that you have to have where you understand that, like, I don't really think this is the worst pie I've ever had. You just make fun of your friend because you know they're nervous about how it tastes. That's how, yeah, we're a family here, Julia. So, yes, I appreciate the note anyway. You guys are super, super sweet, and I love y'all. And please keep the jokes coming because that's how I know that you are still engaged. So, yeah, I'll wrap up my little rant about things being scams, but like, it just sucks because everything that you interact, a lot of the stories that we look at, whether it could be the love scams, the Erica. I remember she famously, you're exactly right, W. Erica told that story about how she pretty much was sure that she was getting scammed. I guess some woman called and said she needed formula, but she was like, even if it was, I gave money to it, and it's like that's not how we want to interact with people, but we have to be cognizant of the world that we live in. So absolutely be diligent, but also don't let this world take everything from you. Let's get started. Thank you for the care package, love. And let's get started. There's we need to talk about this really quickly. I didn't it's not that I didn't have time to get the pictures. I could only have 10 things here. So we'll just talk about what's going on in these Texas races. Lucy, what up, girl? And also, shout out to Lucy for like using the phrase "goodness gracious." I love it, and I want to bring that back. I don't know if I could pull it off. That is like all my aunts, and like the women that I love in my family. Like that. That's a phrase that's just weirdly near and dear to my heart. So, like, shout out to you for using that. Let's talk quickly about these Texas races. If they're anything to do with what's about to go on in the midterms, it is not good for the Republicans. Dan Crenshaw, I would have a picture to pull up, but I'm sure you guys are pretty politically savvy. He was bigger like 3 or 4 years ago because he went, remember, y'all, he went on Bill Maher. And at first we were like, he was a veteran. He lost his eye. He wears an eye patch. and so that made him distinguishable. And I guess that somebody at some awards, some comic had made fun of his eye patch, and instead of like lashing out, he sat down with that person and then he was like, I get it, but like, here's why, that wasn't that cool. And everybody's like, oh my God, is this a Republican that's like kind of chill and like ready to like, we can have differing opinions, but that was just when the political fervor was starting to escalate. And no, he wasn't. He immediately was radicalized in the Trump regime. And it looks like he may have paid the price for it because he got mopped up, as the kids would say. I believe the last poll that I saw is he lost 56% to 40, which that's not good. A lot of these races are, I mean, 6 points is a lot. To lose by that just means that you need to now go into the private sector because you're done here, boss. It was really disappointing because for a second I allowed myself to look at Dan Crenshaw and say maybe he's one of the Republicans that can bring some sense of sanity back to this situation, but I guess not. I'm sure you guys were all and have been following the James Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett race. Last I saw that Jasmine Crockett's team has conceded and has placed a call to the Tallarico campaign conceding. She lost with grace. Jasmine Crockett, I mean, I'm a huge fan of her as a human being and what she's done and how she's championed regular working class folks in the government, in the people's house. So shout out to her. This will not be the last time that we hear from Jasmine Crockett, but I had to ask you guys, let me get these comments back up. I wanted to ask, do you guys think that in a race that was obviously considered very close, that James Tallarico being banned on Colbert, not letting that episode air in a period of time where the public is hyper aware of media suppression? I remember an hour after that was announced, it was still online. It already had over 1 million views online, which is almost, you can assume, way more than how many people would have seen it on just the regular TV airing. But do you think that Colbert bump, for lack of a better word, is what put him over the top? Because quite frankly, he raised $2 million after? Get out of here. The last I saw was Al Green's in a runoff. Al Green, if you guys don't know, he's 82. He's the African-American gentleman that walks with a cane that had the sign at the State of the Union that said black people are not apes. That was him. Well, C-Dog, the fact that you said he raised $2 million a day after, yeah. And the reason that I think that Tallarico is a real threat to Republicans, especially in red states, and not him specifically, but his type, his mold, as soon as there was a Trump, there were a bunch of Trump prototypes running all over the place. James Tallarico is a real Christian, no matter, how you feel about religion or Christianity or what yours is. He's a Christian that people that also adhere to being Christians look at and go, he's a real man of faith and he's a Democrat. And Republicans have always kind of strangely been able to hang on to, we're the party of religion, even though the numbers of scandals, if they were like made into an object, it would be enough. There would be enough of them to like cause an avalanche. There are just so many scandals that this show could just be Republican scandals. That should be a good spinoff podcast. But they've strangely, they still hold a stranglehold on evangelicals and have always said you can't be a Democrat and be a Christian. That's something I've heard my entire adult life. And that's basically saying because Democrats are pro-choice and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, half those Christians are up in the Epstein file. So I wonder what the good book says about that. I digress. James Tallarico is not that. He is a Democratic Southern Christian guy. He's handsome. He speaks from his heart, and he's got potential presidential candidate written all over him because he's got the thing that usually Democrats have to go get from the South, which is somebody that speaks to the Midwest, down South states, somebody that's a little bit more conservative than they are, especially if the top of the ticket is, from the East or West Coast. And James Tallarico is as close to what I've seen as a total package in a long time. And so I wonder, not only could we see him potentially running for president, but how many other James Tallaricos prototypes will be spawned all over the country that don't have extensive scandals in their past. Tony Gonzalez, speaking of runoffs, I believe that he has lost his seat. If you don't remember, Tony Gonzalez was the Republican candidate who was texting his staffer, "Send me hot photos, send me hot photos." She was saying, "This is pushing it too far. I'm uncomfortable with this." He kept saying, I need to visualize. And she eventually felt so much shame because she was a married mother that she self-immolated. She set herself on fire. Interesting how we haven't heard about that on the news. Can you imagine how big of a story that would have been 5 years ago? Congressman's, lover, or however, I don't want to disrespect her, but I'm just thinking how the news would frame it, sets herself on fire with guilt. They used to make Week of the Movies on ABC about stuff like that. There hadn't been a word. So if you think that we're joking around about us protecting spaces like this for however much longer we have them, it's, like I said, the media suppression isn't always about what you don't see. What you see in terms of, like, it's not going to be, there will be propaganda on television, but it's the stories that get killed, like the CCOT story when Barry Weiss took over CBS, and they had done months of investigations about people in this country that had been sent to CCOT, which was that gulag in what Central American country is that in? It'll come to me. Oh, it'll hit me. One of y'all will tell me. So that story got spiked by Barry Weiss, and it got out that it got spiked because the reporters that had worked on it for a better part of a year, El Salvador, thank you, C-Dog, were like, "Hey, what up with that though?" And people are starting to be more savvy. This isn't just the sit back and taking the news passively generation, because quite frankly, we don't have that luxury anymore. So please, and I'll say this again, we really do appreciate y'all being here, because I think it's going to be us against the world for the time being. So anyway, Tony Gonzalez will have time to think about what he's done, because at least that story got out. It's so sad that not only did that story get out, but that Tony Gonzalez didn't even step down. Al Franken stepped down from his senator position because a photo of him when he was a full-time comedian on a USO tour, where he was like, yeah, it was a creepy picture, but it was clearly like tongue-in-cheek, we're goofy comic friends, of him like not even touching a woman's breast, like intimating like, I'm a creep. And because of that, he stepped down from being a senator. We now have Tony Gonzalez, who's on record harassing a woman into self-immolation, and no one mentions it. The news sure doesn't. I bet you we've done it more than C-Dog, we are living in different times. You know what's interesting, C-Dog, is it's like, the way that it's media suppression is, it's not like you should report these stories even though they might be boring and might cause people to turn the channel. A story about an affair in which somebody lit themselves on fire and y'all can't be bothered? I worked in TV, not only just the last 7 seasons on DBL, I've been in TV my whole life, in front or behind of the camera. That's the kind of story that, not to be gross, but there's a saying, if it bleeds, it leads. What if it's on fire? Are you kidding me? There's definitely suppression. So, I don't know how I got off on that rant, but Good to, yeah, I mean, the locals down there in San Antonio, I'm sure they are all talking about it, but I'm talking about, Gabriel, on a national level, bro. I'm talking about, like, how are they not moving? You would think there would be a Netflix documentary about this. They made 2 documentaries about the Fire Festival, and that didn't even happen. This can't get no coverage? Where they do that at? Anyway, all right, let's move on because I am blabbing, and I was going to play the video. I want to get to this really quickly because I just want to get to your opinions because I was shocked by this. Did you guys see Marjorie Taylor Greene on Megyn Kelly? So let's do this here.
Do know is most Americans, and it's being proved in polling that's coming out, most Americans are completely against this war because, like you said, the president has made no case for it. We live our ordinary lives and we don't feel threatened by Iran. We don't walk around thinking that in any moment an Iranian ballistic missile is going to land on our head. We don't. Here's what Americans, and I want to read off this list. This is what Americans are focused on. 72% of Americans can't afford health insurance. 58% of Americans can't afford car insurance. 67% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 31% of Americans can't afford their back taxes. 50% of Americans are in credit card debt, massive credit card debt. That's where we are in America. And I campaigned with the president. As a matter of fact, I was one of the only Republicans that was out there for Donald Trump when the rest of the neocons, by the way, that are just cheering him on now, had abandoned him and were trying to beat him in a primary and stop him from being president again. I was out there on the front lines for Make America Great Again. And Make America Great Again was supposed to be America first, not Israel first, not any foreign country first, not any foreign people first, but the.
All right, I had to break it into 2 parts. That's the first part, and I'm looking at your comments. Y'all, that's what I thought. I thought she is bringing it right now. You wonder, like, gee, if only you were ever in a position to actually do something about that. But that's neither here nor there. She's out of public office, at least for the time being. And I say the time being because what she's saying right there, no matter how you or me might feel about it, that's the kind of shit that resonates when they're starting to look around for potential people that the populace doesn't hate to run for a Republican face of for a presidential ticket, because they can't run Marco Rubio. The people will throw eggs. They cannot run Ted Cruz or the people that are currently in office. The people on the left, the Democrats, are wildly unpopular, but the people on the right are throw your remote at your television unpopular. They can't run anybody because all these people, in order to have stayed with Trump this long, have had to compromise. And we kind of talked about the Dan Crenshaws earlier, have had to compromise. Ted Cruz had to bend the knee. They don't have anyone. I can't think of anyone. And people say Rubio. Do you know what MAGA represents? They have no Hispanic dude. Come on, dog. Marco, you have to know. Marco. Come on, dog. Come on. So who would they get to run? I'm going to play this second part. And I'm glad I'm reading your comments because I'm like, I don't know if I want to be on Friends from Work trumpeting Marjorie Taylor Greene. But look, we keep it 100 here. And when you speak truth to power, people start talking about it.
Their regime. Well, I don't think the Iranian people are going to be toppling their regime when they're getting blown apart by the United States.
Wait, hold on. It's like moving. I don't know why it's moving so slow. Let's try it again. Let's clear it. Okay, now let's try it again.
Unprovoked attack. And yes, it was unprovoked. And Pete Hegseth said this morning, Megyn, he said that we didn't start this war. But I hate to argue with the Secretary of the Department of War. America and Israel definitely started this war, and you can't lie that away to the American people. And so, you know how I feel right now? I am irate. I am furious about this. We are nearly $40 trillion in debt. How much is this war going to cost us? We have seen enough of our American troops dead and murdered for foreign countries. And now we've had 4 dead and murdered, just like you said, for Israel and for the Iranian people, not for the American people. And I don't want to see any more dead and murdered. Our military is filled with some of the greatest people from our country, and God bless their families who are probably losing their minds right now, terrified that their son or daughter or their husband or wife or brother or sister may come home in a flag draped coffin. And then we have the president who, by the way, Megan, this really needs to be said. Donald Trump has said repeatedly on camera and in interviews, he doesn't think he's going to heaven. Well, I want to ask a question, a serious question. What is in his mind? What is his mental state? If he doesn't think he's going to heaven and he is a man towards the end, he's in the 4th quarter, he's towards the end of his life. How does that pan out for the rest of us when we have a president of the United States who doesn't think and is convinced he's not going to heaven? What does that mean his decision making is? He already said to the New York Post today that he doesn't care about the polling. He doesn't care about what the American people think, and he may put troops on the ground. He took this is going to be a few-day war, to now it's going to be maybe 4 weeks or more. I want to say, what is happening to the man that I supported, you supported, the man that denounced what happened in Iraq, the man that said no more foreign wars, no more regime change, promise it on the campaign. J.D. Vance promised it. Tulsi Gabbard promised it. All of them promised it. And we're a year in, and we're in another fucking war, and we've got American troops being killed. I think it's time for America to rip the Band-Aid off, and we need to have a serious conversation about what the fuck is happening to this country and who in the hell are these decisions being made for, and who is making these decisions.
All right. I never played football, but if there is a political rant that got as close to a Texas high school football coach getting his team ready to run through a wall in the locker room, that's it. That's how you talk to people. There's a line from Kanye West song, and we all know how we feel about him, or maybe some people have changed their mind, but he said a lot of things that were very true. And he said, I'm on TV talking like it's just you and me. And that's how Marjorie Greene was talking right there. That's how you talk about kitchen table politics. That's how people are talking right now. No one's saying, well, we have to make sure that we protect our embassies. People in Louisiana, in Virginia Beach, in Dayton, Ohio, they don't give a F about that. And the way Marjorie Taylor Greene is talking, she's channeling the MAGA base, that 32 to 37% that stood with that man through grab him by the you-know-what, through have stood through him through the Epstein documentary, the Epstein files, January 6th, the unmovable 32 and 37%, that tree stump is as loose as it's ever been. And Marjorie, and Shelley says she'll never believe anything that has come from a Republican's mouth. Shelley, that's what I was thinking when she was like, yeah, J.D. Vance said, I was like, Marjorie, he was lying. Are you tall enough to ride this ride? Anyway, she was, can you believe Ted Cruz went back on his word? There are, what she said in that first section I played, when she was just going through the percentage of Americans that are in credit card debt, that are in that do not have, that are uninsured, that are behind on their taxes. Most people are all of those things. Those aren't just one-off categories. Usually if you're in credit card debt, your taxes aren't on top of everything. And, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, like a lot of Americans are, hard to have health insurance that keeps going up every month. Remember how people reacted when that United Healthcare CEO was killed and the Republicans were aghast? Aghast? Is it aghast or a gasp? They were just like a housewife in the 30s that saw a mouse run across the kitchen. They were like, the The people are saying they're glad what do they mean? He's got a family. Everybody's like, yeah, we all have families. And we've all been in the waiting room with our family when we've been told that our uncle's being moved to another hospital or his care ran out and gave us some gauze and sent us out the door. So I think that both parties, even though I know you're lining your pockets with money, you know, the Israeli lobby gets a lot of uh, attention for the way that they line politicians' pockets. Don't forget the healthcare lobby is right there. They're like, as soon as they stuff that pocket, we got another one. We got another handful. Because why do you think nobody really stood up when Trump has been trying since his first the first Trump 1.0 to get rid of Obamacare? People didn't really start standing up until they realized that the ACA and the Obamacare were the exact same thing. They had to call the ACA because racist people were like, but I don't want that. Don't replace my ACA with Obamacare. Anyway, what is happening and what we're seeing is both parties, and I'm not a both sides it in any way, but both parties, especially the heads of both parties, have almost completely lost touch with their demographic. And it's taken the Republicans longer to do it. They have a very loyal, staunch, usually if you just hit the talking points, immigration, anti-abortion, something, black people stole something, no boys in the girls' locker room, and you just go count your money. But right now, that ain't working. They can't even do town halls because people are coming at them. I'm sure they're gonna walk into a town hall and there's gonna be people just got those sticks with fire on them, and I believe they're called torches, Al. I'm really good at the English language, guys, and I think that's why you watch this. Sticks with torches on them. Yeah, they don't do town halls because they can't. They tried, and then they tried. Remember, they tried being snarky at some of them. That one woman, was she from Michigan? I think that woman doing her town hall, and this woman was like, "We can't afford health care. My husband needs his medicine, or he's gonna die." And she was like, "We're all gonna die, sweetie." And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna write that. I'll find that clip for y'all tomorrow." I think she was in Michigan. I'm just from Michigan Center. Okay. All right. So we have so much to get to. Oh, and Big Pharma, Julia. Yeah. When you say Big Pharma, do you think that's why we are inundated by so many pharmaceutical commercials? And it just seems, ask your doctor if you need Lumantra. Ask your doctor if you need Olestra. I don't know. I don't want to be asking my doctor shit. I want my doctor to tell me what I need. I told you my situation when I ruptured my Achilles tendon. Now this kind of crosses over into the beginnings of Big Pharma being on all of our radar when the opioid crisis wasn't even a thing yet. I ruptured my Achilles tendon playing basketball on a street court in Miami, and went to my doctor right after I got out of my one-day outpatient surgery. And okay, and Sea Dog says there's a No Kings March. Is that March coming March 28th? Okay, word. Sea Dog, let us know every day, and we'll post it every day. Let me see if I can catch that. Okay. All right. Yeah, and I kept telling my doctor, I'm not taking, because this is so early in the opioid crisis that I think I speak for a lot of people in the Black community. I didn't even know that pills had monetary value. I had vials stacked like just in my back. I was like, what am I gonna do with all this full with the old school Oxycontin when they really didn't give an F and they were like highest dose? And I kept telling my doctor, I don't need this. And he was just like, just take it, just get it filled. Because I'm sure he was getting a kickback. But anyway, Big Pharma is responsible for countless number of deaths. We do know that it's allegedly, I guess I have to say that, the Sackler family. Do yourself a favor, watch 2 documentaries, because I would love to talk about it with you guys. If you guys want to watch some of my nerd documentaries, there's one that I watch once a year or so, just to remind myself of how scandals are covered. And it's interesting because that's what's in the title. It's called How to Fix a Drug Scandal. It's on Netflix. Watch it. It's amazing. No spoilers. Oh my God. And the other one, I believe it was on HBO, and it was called Crime of the Century. And it was about the beginning of the opioid crisis and the beginning. And it talks a lot about Florida when I was living down there in the early 2000s. And I was still a middle school teacher. And I'd be driving to work and I'd be like, why is there a line in front of the CVS at 6:30 in the morning? But we weren't even thinking about like some higher, shady stuff. I was just like, that's weird. You would see those lines in front of like the plasma bank sometimes, but I was just like, what? And the people would look like addicts, and that's who's in front of the plasma banks. No shade. We all are addicts to something. So, but I was just like, what is going on? And what was going on was that they were just filling prescriptions, getting 1/8 of the country hooked on opioids, and then watching the fallout in which we are all experiencing today. All right, we are going to move on. There's so much stuff I want to get to. Let's talk about this one first because I thought this was interesting. Obviously, and I did make a little fun of her, but yesterday I made fun of Melania at the UN Security Council, just because I can, and it was fun. And I looked and I was like, who is that behind her? And I don't know, unless you're a real political nerd, that is Mike Waltz. He is the guy. I don't know if you guys remember when Pete Hegseth was using Signal to talk about war plans. He's the one that was like fist bumping and giving the explosion emojis. Good job, boss. It's like, ugh. And then he got demoted by when the insane Laura Loomer told Trump, remember they had that interesting relationship? Remember that? Laura Loomer, who famously chained herself to the doors when it was still Twitter, but ironically said doors. She chained herself to a door at Twitter, and you can look. She's chained to a door, and people are just going through the other door. That person has a direct ear to our president. She said that Mike Walls was a rhino and couldn't be trusted. So Trump immediately busted him down, and now he's the the ambassador to the UN. So he's behind the woman leading everything there, and that would be one Miss Melania Trump. You remember she said a couple of interesting things. She said the Trump family is about education. Her husband is currently closing the Department of Education after appointing Vince McMahon, who just wrecked his Bentley going 100 miles an hour on what looked to be like allegedly 1,700 different drugs. Vince McMahon is 495 years old. So while that was happening last week, his wife is in the process of shutting down our Department of Education. So I don't know, you could poke some holes in Melania's story there. But she also said that they are a family of peace. And yes, peace. Peace. My God, how do you say that? So then Mike Walls goes on. Let's see, can I get that one? I gotta get this one down first. I am learning, but I'm getting better. Believe in me. Okay, so Mike Walls then goes on Laura Ingraham, and that's not a bad screenshot. That's just the face that she has all the time. That's just like, it's like that movie Inside Out is just like, let's just be her face. Laura Ingraham is a cold woman. So they send Mike Walls to go push this message that regime change will be celebrated in Iran by the US. And then I clicked on another article because you guys know how I do. And then I was like, I remember Mike Walls. He was the guy that was outed because remember, these guys are tweeting at people, going at people kind of viciously on Twitter, but they don't really know what they're showing when they show their screen. And he allegedly on Twitter, because he couldn't tell who he was following, he didn't know that you could tell who somebody's following. I bet you he knows now. Dan Cohen wrote back in the day, if the Trump administration's signal, that's the Pete Hegseth original debacle, wasn't bad enough, I found that Mike Waltz married to Julia Nishenwat, I believe that's an Indian last name. Sorry, I butchered it. Since 2021, follows a gay pornography account. That's right. Walls and his wife's personal lives are their own, he goes on to say, but it's a well-known secret that sexual improprieties can be used to compromise political figures. And Walls is in one of the most powerful and sensitive positions in the US government. And I'm not going to say it, but can we all see the account that he follows? Can we see that? Hey, Mike. you, bro, come on, dog. I don't look. Dude, this is the most loving, non-judgmental, couldn't care how you identify place on the internet. And a lot like that guy writing, he's like, I don't care. Be married. I don't know what your situation with your wife is. But he brought up something that I've always brought up, and I think it probably sounded very conspiratorial until the Epstein files. And now isn't everything starting to click into place? If this guy is sloppy enough to be following Big Richard Bottom on Twitter publicly, not even a dummy account, his name is on that account. You can get more than 2 accounts. You can. I bet you learned that a little late too. They laid dollar short, Mike. Oh God. So anyway, Mike didn't know that. So then the question becomes, what else didn't he know? What else now does somebody else know? Because all the movies that are popular, we've all grown up on, they're different iterations of James Bond and Jack Reacher and what's Mission Impossible, whatever. All these guys are spies. They're secret agents. And what do? They get information for governments. Oh, Marcy says that a picture of me. No, it's Biggie Smalls. But thank you, Marcy. I'll be working out right after the show now. Yeah, this is a jacket I made. Yeah, so a lot of these guys are sloppy, and I'm assuming that a Republican that identifies as cishet and a married man would not want this kind of information out there. So what would somebody that is, think about the double problem that the Pete Hegseth signal debacle was. Not only was he talking about sensitive war information on a non-encrypted, non-government safe skiff, just a regular app that I have on my phone that I talk to my sister-in-law on, is that the other person on there, no, there are 3. He was talking on Signal, follow me. After that, he accidentally added a reporter, I believe it's Barry Goldberg, to that Signal chat, just butt dialed, added him, which is impossible. And 3, he's talking to Mike Walls, who is clearly compromised. So anybody that would be looking for sensitive information, I mean, maybe this is part of the Republicans' flood the zone strategy. Maybe there's so many ways to get at our sensitive documents that they're overwhelmed and they shut down. Because you could be like, I could go to Mar-a-Lago and get those documents that are in the bathroom. I've seen pictures. Or I could just get on Signal and hope Pete Hegseth butt dials me. Or I could just read an article written by Barry Goldberg. Or if I'm really bored, I'll just go blackmail Mike Walls. Fine, I'll do it. Do you see how compromised? They're incompetent. Yes, they are incompetent, but everybody is compromised. Lindsey Graham, Lady G, allegedly, he's not compromised. He's not compromised. Did you guys ever see that video of who's the Mike Pence at the John Deere? I don't know what it was. I don't know. It's like a John Deere of fair, like state fair that he went to. I'm gonna wait to see if any of you guys did you guys see that? the Mike Pence, the uber religious Mike Pence that delivered Trump the evangelicals in his first go round. Mike Pence just had a very interesting interaction with the John Deere employee. If you just Google Mike Pence John Deere, go on and do it. And but Julia, is he in the closet? If it is a closet, it's one of those closets that's got it's got a wood frame, but it's all glass, so you can see inside of it. Lindsay ain't even really trying. And I'm sure that what we're seeing with these Epstein files is all these people were compromised in one way or another. And that means that they can be moved around and maneuvered, not outed, because then you get rid of the person you compromise. You just dangle them. You have them in control for years. Oh, how would your kids like to see this? Do you think your wife would approve of this once we leak this, and then she divorces you for all your money and your public, social pariah? Or are you going to vote against this issue that you ran on? I'm telling you guys, anytime that you look at a candidate and you go, why would they vote against that? It's this. It's the stuff that we don't see. Yes, Julia. Shout out to the confirmed bachelors. Yeah, that's very old school. And so yeah, this is a concern. Okay, I wanted to bring this up really quickly because we were talking yesterday about the United States and their failure to evacuate people that are overseas. Let me get this down, even though it does make me laugh. These are some pictures from people in and around the Middle East that work for the United States on behalf of the United States, waiting. You see bags there. To see this picture just really summed everything up. Now, if you guys can't see over this guy who is he's got that shocked body stance that you only get when you're just like when your team loses with a half-court buzzer beater. All those flights say canceled. And I don't know. I didn't upload it. Oh, it's like really it's super short. But there's a voicemail that when you called to get some instruction saying, hey, I'm in one of these countries that's currently having bombs fall from the air. What should I do? Government that I work for. It's a recording that says basically, we can't help you. You need to get to an airport. Obviously, they know that all the airports are gone. And it was just a recording. It wasn't even a person. And then, of course, after that got out, the U.S. said, we have actual people answering the phone. So I'm glad we could shame you into that. What a bunch of dirt bags. Oh my God. Oh my God. So here's what they are doing. Then this was on MSNBC to shut people like me up, saying that the U.S. isn't doing a good job of getting the people that work on our behalf out of the Middle East, even though they knew weeks ago they were going to be starting a war there, even though they knew that. This is a little bit of old shut up, Al. Look what they did. On MS Now, if you're in the Middle East and you still have electricity and a little time to kill, and you're watching MS Now, there's a number that will lead you to an automated service that will tell you to pray to whatever God that you believe in. All right, I want to get to this really quickly as well. I don't know if this is a really quickly issue, but this just happened a few hours ago, and you guys know how we do. Dirtbags is right. See, they couldn't even. All they had to do is tell somebody to arrange some flights. They didn't even have to do it. That's how little they care. It's not like Trump would have to be like, okay, are we flying her out on orbits? Like, all you have to be like is, hey, do you know those people that work for us? Let's move them along. Couldn't care less. Never think about anybody but themselves. And haven't really done a lot of forethought in terms of with this war, which is kind of bad. Usually when you go to a war of a country of 90 million people, you kind of want to have your S together, but not us. We'll figure it out on the fly. It's the way I've lived right up until about 5 years ago. All right, so here's what has leaked about the CIA's next plans. The CIA is working to arm Kurdish forces, the Kurds, who we betrayed. Remember last time when we left them there in Afghanistan to be slaughtered? We are in now we're just circling back. Sup, y'all mad? CIA is working to arm Kurdish forces to spark an uprising in Iran, sources say. This is their plan. First of all, how does CNN have your plan? CIA? What are y'all? They probably leaked this just to be like, see what Americans think about this. Here's the full plan, and I'll give you my thoughts. One person familiar with the discussion said that the idea would be for Kurdish armed forces to take on the Iranian security forces and pin them down to make it easier for unarmed Iranians in the major cities to turn out to protest, I'm assuming, without getting massacred as what happened in January. So their thing is like, we're going to get the Kurds to give you a little, little cover. You guys get your dry erase marker, start making your posters now. Now, yes, there are drones and missiles pummeling your major cities, but we need to get the message out there. That is craziness. That is craziness. Another U.S. official said that the Kurds could help sow chaos in the region and stretch the Iranian regime's military sources thin. Still, other ideas have centered around whether the Kurds could take and even hold territory in the northern part of Iran and create a buffer zone for Israel. So we're back to Israel. Good Lord. Whoa, 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 whoa. This would be wildly unpopular. And the idea of using the Kurds, to sow chaos in the region, now that would be a new idea for the United States. I mean, it's not like us when we want to topple a regime that is not being friendly to us by arming insurgent forces that are inside of that country that are against that regime. It's not like we did that with the Mujahideen and whatever happened with them. Oh, yeah, they became the Taliban. We keep doing the exact same thing in every country. The United States history that we are taught is almost total fabrication, except for the huge bullet points that we see. What we do is, if we don't like, for example, Saddam Hussein, for example, he was down with the CIA. He was our dude in the CIA back in the day. And what they did, because Iran used to have I'd assume he would be, I don't know if was he an Ayatollah? I'm not sure. But their leader of Iran back in the day was more of a nationalist, in that he was like, we're not giving y'all our oil, United States. Are y'all kidding me? A lot like when Cuba was like, hey, United States, we're not going to give y'all our sugar cane for pennies on the dollar. And it's not like we have any beef with Cuba over that. And the U.S. didn't like that. They decided to keep their natural national resources for themselves. So what do? We send in a stooge government to take down that regime and install a government that'll be very friendly to the United States. So what do? We go, hey, Saddam, we're not about to betray you for another 10 years. So let's arm you up and you go have one of the bloodiest 10-year wars ever, the Iraq-Iran war. It's fascinating. If you ever listen to it, both countries were forever changed after it. Iraq eventually got the best of them and kind of tried to establish control over that region, but they were so beat up after the war that that's why they were kind of such easy pickings for us. So, once Saddam helped us take down that Iranian regime that wanted to keep their own oil, and Saddam was no longer of use to us, what do? We go, hey, Kuwait, go start some stuff with Iraq. Do you guys understand the size difference between Kuwait and Iraq? Don't you think it's interesting that a little tiny country like Kuwait would have the balls to go after Iraq after they just beat the mighty Iranians? Why would Kuwait feel so comfortable to do such a thing? And question, what did Kuwait do to Iraq? Kuwait was doing something that was called slant drilling. I'm sure a lot of my Texas folks know what that is. But slant drilling is basically, if I was going to explain it, it would be like if me and Tori were drinking chocolate milk out of straws, right? And I see Tori's chocolate milk and she's got more than mine. So I take my straw and I, on a slant, just put my straw on her side and start drinking. And Tori would naturally be like, what the F? Are you crazy? And that's what Iraq did. Iraq was like, you know, that will throw you off the planet, right? And Kuwait was like, we think so. But what were we doing at that time? We started sending our troops in, and people were like, there's quite a buildup around Kuwait. And we started saying, hearing on, our propaganda networks then, ABC, CBS, that Iraq is threatening Kuwait, and we need to go in and remove Saddam. So, by Marcy, sorry, I was getting on a rant. But yeah, so that's what we do. We're going to try that here. It will not work, and if it does work, the people we put in power will eventually get it out of our control, and we will see this again until we start voting in better candidates, guys. I'm going to follow Marcy's lead. I'm going to go get SAR in a second. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for writing with me after so many times of messing the stream up. I think I finally got it. So, on behalf of Michael Dean, which also you guys show some love to Michael. He's going through a tough time right now. Throw some prayers up for Tori as well. Thank you for your care package. Input. It will go to good use. I'll make a video of me making my care package and I'll post it here. So until then, we have to wait another 24 hours. It sucks, but I will see y'all tomorrow. Love y'all. I'm out.